Mick Jagger, one of the most enduring and influential icons in the history of rock music, has spent more than 6 decades defining rebellion, charisma, and global stardom. As the unmistakable frontman of the Rolling Stones, his presence has shaped popular culture across generations. Yet beyond the sold-out stadiums and legendary performances, his romantic life has been just as complex and headline-making as his career. But who were the women who truly shaped his journey through love? In this video, we take a deep dive into the complete dating history of Mick Jagger, tracing his relationships from the early 1960s to the present day. Born Michael Philip Jagger on July 26, 1943, in Dartford, Kent, England. Mick Jagger grew up in a middle-class household, far removed from the excesses that would later define his public image. His father was a physical education teacher, while his mother was actively involved in community life. By most accounts, Jagger's early years were stable and conventional, offering little indication that he would become one of the most provocative cultural figures of the 20th century. Jagger attended the London School of Economics, where he initially pursued academic studies before music gradually took precedence. It was during this formative period that he reconnected with Keith Richards, a childhood acquaintance who shared his growing fascination with rhythm and blues. Together, they formed what would eventually become the Rolling Stones, a band that quickly distinguished itself through raw sound, provocative lyrics, and a rebellious image that contrasted sharply with the cleaner personas of other British acts of the era. As the Rolling Stones rose to prominence in the early 1960s, Mick Jagger's public persona evolved rapidly. His stage presence was bold, sensual, and unapologetically confrontational, capturing the attention of audiences and the media alike. With fame came intense public scrutiny, and Jagger soon found that his personal life attracted almost as much attention as his music. Romantic relationships, once private, became subjects of fascination, speculation, and often exaggeration. The cultural landscape of the 1960s also played a significant role in shaping Jagger's approach to relationships. This was an era marked by social upheaval, sexual liberation, and a rejection of traditional norms. As a young man at the center of this cultural shift, Jagger was both a product of his time and one of its most visible symbols. Love, for him, was rarely separated from fame, artistic expression, or personal freedom. It was within this environment that Jagger entered his earliest known romantic relationships. These initial experiences would not only introduce him to the complexities of love under public scrutiny, but would also set the tone for many of the patterns that would later reappear throughout his romantic life. As his career accelerated, so too did the pace and intensity of his relationships, marking the beginning of a long and complicated journey through love. Mick Jagger and Chrissy Shrimpton dated from 1963 to 1966. This relationship is widely regarded as Jagger's first serious and publicly acknowledged romance. Chrissy Shrimpton was a prominent model and a key figure in London's emerging youth culture during the early 1960s. At the time they met, the Rolling Stones were still in the early stages of their ascent, performing frequently in clubs and beginning to attract national attention. They reportedly met through London's tight-knit fashion and music circles, where models, musicians, and designers often socialized together. As Jagger's fame grew, Shrimpton became a visible presence at events and performances, frequently photographed alongside him. Their relationship coincided with the formative years of the Rolling Stones, a period marked by constant touring, recording sessions, and growing media scrutiny. The romance was described by contemporaries as intense but increasingly strained. Jagger's rapid rise to fame placed immense pressure on the relationship, as his schedule left little room for stability. Shrimpton later recalled feeling overwhelmed by the lifestyle that accompanied Jagger's success, including the constant attention from fans and the lack of privacy. Over time, these pressures created emotional distance between them. Their relationship came to an end in 1966. While no single incident was cited as the definitive cause, conflicting priorities and the demands of Jagger's career were widely believed to have played a decisive role. Though the relationship did not endure, it marked a significant chapter in Jagger's early romantic life, representing his first experience balancing love with international fame. But was this early heartbreak simply a consequence of sudden stardom, or did it foreshadow a recurring pattern in his future relationships? Mick Jagger and Marianne Faithfull were in a relationship from 1966 to 1970. Shortly after his breakup with Shrimpton, Jagger entered one of the most iconic and scrutinized relationships of his career. Marianne Faithfull was a successful singer and actress in her own right, and their union quickly became emblematic of the excesses and artistic experimentation of the late 1960s. They reportedly met at a party introduced by mutual friends within London's music scene. At the time, both were at pivotal points in their careers, and their relationship soon became intertwined with their creative lives. Faithfull's influence on Jagger was widely noted, with many observers suggesting that she played a significant role in shaping some of his most introspective songwriting during this period. Their romance unfolded under relentless public attention. The couple became fixtures of tabloid headlines, often portrayed as symbols of countercultural rebellion. However, beneath the glamorous exterior, their relationship was increasingly turbulent. Substance abuse, legal troubles, and the pressures of fame strained their bond. Faithfull later spoke candidly about the emotional toll of living in the shadow of Jagger's growing stardom. The relationship ultimately ended in 1970. By that point, both parties were facing personal and professional challenges, and their connection could no longer withstand the intensity of their circumstances. Though their romance was relatively brief, it left a lasting imprint on both of their lives and remains one of the most talked about chapters in Jagger's romantic history. What followed would signal not only a shift in Jagger's personal life, but also the beginning of a more complicated and far-reaching phase in his approach to love and commitment. Mick Jagger and Bianca Perez Mora Macias were married from 1971 to 1978. This relationship marked a significant turning point in Jagger's romantic life. Bianca Perez Mora Macias, a Nicaraguan socialite and political activist, entered Jagger's life at a moment when his fame had reached global proportions. Their marriage represented his first formal attempt at long-term commitment. They reportedly met at a party following a Rolling Stones concert, where Bianca's poise and intellect immediately distinguished her from many of the figures in Jagger's social circle. Their courtship moved quickly, and in May 1971, they were married in a highly publicized ceremony in Saint-Tropez. The wedding attracted intense media attention and was widely portrayed as a symbol of rock star excess, meeting high society elegance. Later that same year, the couple welcomed their daughter, Jade Jagger. For a brief period, the marriage appeared to signal a more settled phase in Jagger's life. Bianca often accompanied him to public events, becoming a prominent figure in fashion and social activism. However, behind the scenes, the realities of Jagger's lifestyle soon placed strain on the relationship. Constant touring, prolonged separations, and differing expectations about fidelity contributed to growing tension. Bianca later stated that the marriage was effectively over not long after it began, citing emotional distance and Jagger's continued involvement in the rock and roll lifestyle. By 1977, the couple had separated and their divorce was finalized the following year. Though short-lived, the marriage to Bianca marked Jagger's first experience of fatherhood and legal commitment. It also raised an important question that would echo throughout his romantic history. Could lasting stability coexist with the demands of his career? Mick Jagger and Jerry Hall were in a relationship from 1977 to 1999. Soon after separating from Bianca, Jagger entered what would become the longest and most significant relationship of his life. Jerry Hall was an American model and actress whose career was flourishing at the time they met. Their relationship spanned more than 2 decades and produced 4 children, making it central to any understanding of Jagger's love life. They reportedly met in New York City, introduced through mutual friends in the fashion world. Hall's confidence and independence were often cited as qualities that allowed her to navigate Jagger's demanding lifestyle. Over time, she became deeply integrated into his personal and family life, and the couple was widely perceived as a long-term partnership. In 1990, Jagger and Hall participated in a Hindu wedding ceremony in Bali. While the ceremony held deep personal significance for them, its legal status would later become a subject of dispute. During their years together, Hall largely took on the role of primary caregiver for their children, while Jagger continued to tour and record extensively. Despite the appearance of stability, the relationship was not without difficulties. Reports of infidelity surfaced repeatedly, and in 1998, Hall discovered that Jagger had fathered a child with another woman. This revelation marked a decisive breaking point. Their relationship came to an end shortly thereafter, and in 1999, a court ruled that their Balinese ceremony did not constitute a legally binding marriage under English law. This prolonged relationship underscored the recurring tension between commitment and personal freedom in Jagger's life. After more than 20 years together, the separation prompted renewed scrutiny of whether long-term stability was truly attainable for him. But was this the end of Jagger's pursuit of enduring partnership, or merely the conclusion of another chapter? Mick Jagger and Luciana Jimenez Morad were involved in a relationship in 1998. This relationship, while brief, had a profound impact on Jagger's personal life and public image. Luciana Jimenez Morad was a Brazilian television presenter and model when their involvement reportedly took place. According to public accounts, their relationship occurred during a transitional period in Jagger's long-term partnership with Jerry Hall. They reportedly met while Jagger was touring in South America. At the time, the relationship was not widely known, and it remained largely out of the public eye. However, its consequences became impossible to ignore when it was revealed that Jimenez was pregnant with Jagger's child. In 1999, Jimenez gave birth to their son, Lucas Jagger. The revelation came as a shock to the public and directly contributed to the final breakdown of Jagger's relationship with Jerry Hall. Legal proceedings followed, including disputes over child support, which played out in the media and intensified scrutiny of Jagger's private life. This episode marked one of the most public scandals of Jagger's romantic history. It reinforced long-standing perceptions of instability and raised questions about accountability and responsibility. While Jagger acknowledged paternity and maintained a relationship with his son, the incident permanently altered the narrative surrounding his long-term partnership and reputation. But did this scandal represent a turning point, or was it simply another repetition of a familiar pattern? Mick Jagger and Sophie Dahl were rumored to have dated briefly in the early 2000s. Following his separation from Jerry Hall, Jagger was linked to several younger women, prompting renewed tabloid fascination. One such rumor involved Sophie Dahl, a British author and former model. Reports suggested that the two may have shared a short-lived romantic connection. The alleged relationship was said to have taken place during a period when Jagger was re-establishing himself as a single man. However, neither party ever publicly confirmed the speculation. There is no credible evidence that the relationship extended beyond a brief personal connection, and it remains largely anecdotal. While the rumored involvement attracted attention due to their age difference, it ultimately lacked the substance to be considered a defining chapter in Jagger's love life. Still, it contributed to the ongoing media narrative surrounding his post-Jerry Hall relationships. Mick Jagger and Loren Scott were in a relationship from 2001 to 2014. This relationship represented a markedly different phase in Jagger's romantic life. Loren Scott was an American fashion designer and former stylist who brought a quieter, more private presence into his world. Unlike many of his previous partners, Scott largely avoided the spotlight, focusing instead on her career in fashion. They reportedly met through professional connections in New York, and their relationship developed steadily over time. For more than a decade, Scott was widely regarded as Jagger's primary partner. She accompanied him selectively to events and was often described as a stabilizing influence. However, the relationship ended in tragedy. In 2014, Scott died by suicide, an event that deeply affected Jagger and those close to her. Jagger publicly expressed his grief, describing his shock and sadness in a rare personal statement. The loss marked one of the most somber chapters in his romantic history and signaled a profound emotional rupture. This period introduced a new dimension to Jagger's story, one defined not by scandal, but by loss. It also raised questions about vulnerability, emotional distance, and the unseen struggles within long-term relationships. After decades defined by intensity and controversy, what direction would his love life take next? Mick Jagger and Melanie Hamrick have been in a relationship since 2014. This relationship represents the most recent and, in many ways, the most unexpected chapter in Jagger's romantic life. Melanie Hamrick is an American ballet dancer and choreographer who was a principal performer with the American Ballet Theatre. Compared to many of Jagger's previous partners, Hamrick came from a world largely removed from rock music and celebrity culture. They reportedly met in Japan while both were touring with their respective companies. At the time, Jagger was traveling with the Rolling Stones, while Hamrick was on tour with the ballet. According to later accounts, their initial interaction was casual, and the relationship developed gradually rather than through immediate public attention. In 2016, the couple welcomed their son, Devereux Octavian Basil Jagger. The birth of his 8th child marked a notable moment in Jagger's life, as he was in his early 70s at the time. Despite the age difference between them, the relationship appeared notably calmer and more private than many of his earlier romances. Hamrick has consistently maintained a degree of independence, continuing her work in dance and later transitioning into choreography and writing. In interviews, Hamrick has described their relationship as grounded in mutual respect and understanding. Unlike previous chapters marked by intense media scrutiny, this partnership has largely avoided public drama. Jagger, for his part, has remained characteristically reserved, offering few public comments about his personal life. In recent years, Hamrick confirmed that she and Jagger had been quietly engaged for some time, though she emphasized that marriage was not necessarily a priority for either of them. This revelation reframed public perceptions of Jagger's later life, suggesting a shift away from spectacle toward a more deliberate and controlled approach to commitment. This present chapter raises a compelling question. After decades of instability, reinvention, and emotional upheaval, has Mick Jagger finally found a form of love that aligns with the life he now leads? Throughout his decades in the public eye, Mick Jagger has been linked to numerous women beyond his long-term relationships. Some of these connections were brief, others speculative, and many were amplified by the media without substantive confirmation. This section examines those rumored or short-lived relationships, separating documented facts from persistent speculation. Mick Jagger was rumored to have had a brief fling with Carla Bruni in the early 1990s. Carla Bruni, an Italian-French model who later became a singer and First Lady of France, was part of the elite fashion and social circles Jagger frequented during that period. Reports suggested that the two may have shared a short romantic connection while Jagger was still involved with Jerry Hall. Neither Jagger nor Bruni ever confirmed the relationship, and details remain limited. There is no credible evidence that this rumored involvement extended beyond a brief personal acquaintance. He was also rumored to have been romantically linked to Princess Margaret during the 1960s. This speculation emerged largely from photographs and accounts of social encounters during London's swinging 60s. At the time, Princess Margaret was known for her interest in artists and musicians. While their paths undoubtedly crossed within elite social circles, historians and biographers have noted that there is no reliable documentation confirming a romantic relationship. The rumor likely arose from their shared visibility rather than verifiable intimacy. Mick Jagger and Uma Thurman were rumored to have had a brief relationship in the early 2000s. Following his separation from Jerry Hall, Jagger was frequently associated with actresses and models. One such rumor involved Uma Thurman, a prominent Hollywood actress. The speculation appeared after they were seen together at public events. However, neither party addressed the rumors, and no credible sources substantiated claims of a romantic involvement. Additional rumors and fleeting associations over the years, Jagger has been linked, often tenuously, to various models, performers, and social figures. Many of these claims originated from single sightings, anonymous sources, or tabloid conjecture. In most cases, there is insufficient evidence to suggest meaningful romantic relationships. These rumors instead reflect the broader cultural tendency to conflate proximity and visibility with intimacy, particularly in the case of globally recognized figures. Despite the volume of speculation, it is important to distinguish between documented relationships and media narratives driven by curiosity rather than fact. While these rumored connections contributed to Jagger's reputation as a romantic libertine, they do not carry the same weight or significance as his long-term partnerships. But why did these rumors persist so relentlessly, even in the absence of confirmation? And what do they reveal about the way fame shapes public perception of private life? As Mick Jagger's fame expanded across continents and generations, so too did the volume of speculation surrounding his personal life. Many rumored relationships persisted for years, repeated across tabloids and popular culture despite a lack of substantiating evidence. This section aims to clarify which narratives were supported by credible sources and which were largely products of media mythology. Throughout the 1960s and 1970s, Jagger's proximity to artists, aristocrats, and public figures often fueled assumptions of romantic involvement. In several cases, he was photographed socializing with high-profile women at parties, concerts, or private gatherings. These images, removed from context, were frequently interpreted as proof of intimacy. However, biographers and close associates have consistently emphasized that social proximity did not necessarily indicate a romantic relationship. Jagger himself has rarely addressed rumors directly. When he has done so, his responses tended to be dismissive rather than defensive, reflecting a long-standing strategy of allowing speculation to fade without engagement. This silence, while effective in preserving privacy, also allowed certain narratives to persist unchecked. It is also important to consider the broader cultural context in which many of these rumors emerged. During the height of his fame, Jagger was not merely a musician, but a symbol of excess, freedom, and transgression. Media outlets often projected this symbolic role onto his personal life, assuming behavior that aligned with the archetype rather than verified reality. In this sense, some rumors functioned less as reports of fact and more as extensions of his public persona. Several women who were rumored to have been romantically involved with Jagger later clarified that their interactions were strictly social or professional. In these instances, the persistence of the rumors revealed more about public fascination with celebrity intimacy than about Jagger's actual behavior. As years passed, many of these claims lost credibility, remaining only as footnotes in the broader narrative of his life. Ultimately, separating fact from fiction is essential to understanding Jagger's romantic history. While his documented relationships reveal complexity, intensity, and recurring patterns, the unverified rumors largely reflect the distortions created by extreme fame. Recognizing this distinction allows for a more accurate and human portrayal of a man whose private life has long been overshadowed by legend. With the rumors clarified and misconceptions addressed, one final question remains. What does Mick Jagger's complete romantic history ultimately reveal about love, fame, and personal transformation? Through more than 6 decades of fame, reinvention, and cultural influence, Mick Jagger's romantic history reveals a life shaped as much by love as by celebrity. From the youthful intensity of his early relationships in the 1960s to long-term partnerships marked by both devotion and fracture, his journey through love has mirrored the evolution of his public persona. Each relationship unfolded within a specific moment in time, influenced by the pressures of global fame, creative ambition, and personal restlessness. A recurring pattern emerges when his relationships are viewed as a complete timeline rather than isolated stories. Jagger often gravitated toward women who were accomplished, independent, and deeply rooted in their own worlds. At the same time, many of his long-term relationships struggled to withstand the demands of his career and the lifestyle that accompanied it. Passion frequently preceded stability, and emotional closeness was often tested by distance, touring, and constant public scrutiny. Yet it would be overly simplistic to frame his romantic life solely as a series of failures. Several of his relationships endured for many years, producing children, shared histories, and lasting emotional bonds. Even when partnerships ended, they often left behind a legacy that continued to shape his identity. These relationships were not merely footnotes to his career, they were integral chapters that influenced his music, public image, and personal growth. In his later years, a notable shift appears. His relationship with Melanie Hemrick reflects a quieter, more deliberate approach to intimacy. While still guarded, this chapter suggests an acceptance of balance rather than excess. The absence of public drama and the emphasis on mutual independence point to a man who has learned, at least in part, from earlier patterns. Ultimately, Mick Jagger's love life cannot be reduced to scandal or stereotype. It is a complex narrative of desire, connection, loss, and adaptation played out under extraordinary circumstances. His story invites a broader reflection on how fame reshapes human relationships and whether lasting love can truly exist in a life lived on a global stage. After decades defined by passion and unpredictability, one question remains unanswered. Has Mick Jagger finally found a form of love that endures beyond legend, or is reinvention itself the only constant in his romantic journey? Mick Jagger's story is not simply the record of a famous man's relationships, but a reflection of how love evolves under the weight of extraordinary visibility. Few individuals have lived so long at the center of global attention, where personal choices are documented, interpreted, and often rewritten by the public imagination. In that environment, intimacy becomes both amplified and fragile. Across decades, Jagger's romantic life unfolded alongside seismic cultural shifts. From the liberation movements of the 1960s to the hyper-mediated present, each relationship existed within a different social climate, shaping expectations of commitment, freedom, and identity. What appears, in hindsight, as instability may also be understood as a continuous negotiation between personal desire and an unconventional life. His later years suggest neither a complete rejection of the past nor a dramatic reinvention, but rather a quiet recalibration. The intensity that once defined his relationships has given way to discretion and balance, reflecting not only age, but accumulated experience. In this sense, his romantic journey mirrors the arc of a career that has endured by adapting rather than retreating. The full dating history of Mick Jagger offers no simple moral or conclusion. Instead, It presents a nuanced portrait of a man navigating love while carrying the weight of legend. It leaves viewers with an open-ended reflection rather than a definitive answer. In a life defined by constant motion, perhaps the most revealing question is not who he loved, but how love itself changed alongside him. This documentary-style timeline has been constructed using publicly available information drawn from verified interviews, biographies, court records, and long-standing media reports. Where dates and details are clearly documented, they have been presented as factual. In cases involving rumors or unverified claims, careful language has been used to distinguish speculation from confirmed relationships in line with established biographical standards. No private or undisclosed information has been assumed. This narrative does not seek to judge personal choices, but rather to contextualize them within the pressures of fame, cultural change, and a career lived largely in the public eye. Relationships have been examined as historical chapters, not as moral verdicts. Like many figures of Mick Jagger's stature, his personal history has often been shaped by how stories were told about him, sometimes as much as by events themselves. As with any long public life, interpretations may evolve as new perspectives emerge. This concludes the complete dating history and relationship timeline of Mick Jagger from the early 1960s to the present